Thank you all so much for joining me for a 60-minute Yin Yoga class. After the yoga class today, I'm also going to offer an optional 15-minute journaling session that I try to do once a month. So for this class, you are welcome to have some pillows and a towel nearby. And if you want to stay for journaling, you can also have a journal and a pen. If afterwards, if you don't want to stay for journaling, that's fine. You can just show yourself out, or you're always welcome to just listen and ponder without actually writing down. Okay, so we're going to find ourselves in a comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you. You can sit crisscross applesauce, or maybe an easy pose with one foot in front of the other. And just take a moment here. You can kind of rock your weight back and forth, side to side, then really start to sit up nice and tall. Evenly distribute your body weight on your sit bones. Just slowly starting to arrive at our yoga practice. And this is a wonderful gift that you've given yourself, just some time to sit with yourself, to breathe, and to move your body. We're going to start with a breathing exercise that I call I am thank you. So the idea is you'll inhale through your nose, and as you inhale through your nose, you'll say to yourself, I am, followed by an adjective, a noun, or a verb. And then as you exhale through your nose, you'll silently say to yourself, thank you. So the idea is as you inhale through your nose, you'll say, I am, and an example would be, I am breathing. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am a daughter. Exhale through your nose, thank you. At first, those notions of self might come quickly, and at a certain point, you might find that you're repeating the same one, or you're at a little bit of a loss for words, and you're just going to kind of let these I am statements pour off of you. If at any point you find that your I am statements are becoming kind of negative towards yourself, that's an opportunity just to practice compassion. So if you notice yourself being hard on yourself, you're just going to compassionately return yourself to true, real, positive I am thank you affirmations. So sitting up nice and tall, I'll walk us through 3. And then we will continue together. Sitting up nice and tall, you can close your eyes, drop your shoulders. Closing your eyes is distracting. You can do a soft, fuzzy gaze just beyond the tip of your nose. Seal your lips, relax your jaw, and begin. Inhale through your nose, I am alive. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am practicing yoga. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am loved. Exhale through your nose, thank you. And we'll continue with 2 more minutes of I am thank you statements. If you find your mind wandering, gently returning your thoughts to your I am thank you statements. This time as you inhale through your nose, I am safe. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am here on my yoga mat. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am present in real time and space. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Last one, inhale through your nose, I am in my body. Exhale through your nose, thank you. You are welcome to slowly open your eyes if they were closed. Take your time. And this is a Yin Yoga class, so we're going to hold postures anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Keep that in mind. We're going to come into a tabletop position. Our first posture of the day is child's pose. Can do a wide-legged child's pose here. Keep your feet together. Open your knees. As you're ready, you're going to sink your hips down and stretch your arms forward, bringing forehead to floor and hips close to the heels. This class does not require you to have any props, but if you have a pillow or blanket nearby and that would make your child's pose a little bit more pleasant, you're welcome to grab a pillow and put it, under your chest. You're welcome to place a blanket under your knees or your ankles if you have tight knees. So there's lots of ways where we can use household items like an everyday pillow or blanket to make our Yin Yoga experience a little bit more comfortable. And we're going to hold here for 3 minutes. So right away, you'll feel a little bit of an opening to the hips and a lengthening to the spine. We're also putting a little bit of pressure on the toes, ankles, and knees. So this posture is good for stretching out the joints in the lower body, stretching the hips, working through the inner thighs, and slowly lengthening, stretching the shoulders and spine as well. So as I mentioned in Yin Yoga, we hold postures for 3 to 5 minutes, which is a fair amount of time. There's 3 principles of Yin Yoga, and they're pretty simple. You're going to make a shape with your body, you're going to hold the shape, and then you're going to breathe. If at any point the shape that you've made is no longer feeling sustainable, it is hurting, it's not comfortable, remember that you can always switch up what you're doing, maybe by grabbing a prop, maybe bringing your knees a little closer together or a little bit further apart. If you need to come out early, you're always welcome to as well. Do you notice the difference between moving or shifting in a posture because what you're doing is not serving you versus moving or shifting in a posture because it's just uncomfortable to be still? Through yoga, we're just practicing. We're practicing stillness, practicing compassion. We're practicing staying in our body. So if at any point that you find your body is fidgeting or your mind is wandering, you're just gently going to return yourself to your breath. Our thoughts are like clouds or bubbles. Sometimes our thoughts pass quickly, sometimes they hang around for a while. It's your job in yoga to remember that you are not the clouds, you are the sky. So in your yoga practice, especially when we're holding postures for 3 to 5 minutes, when you find your mind wandering, you're just going to observe those clouds passing and then gently return your thoughts to your breath, guiding your body into stillness, soothing the body through the breath. We'll hold here for 1 more minute. Let's take 3 more big breaths here. Every time you inhale, feel the backs of your ribs expand.
Every time you exhale, think about melting into the floor. Let the floor hold you up. As you're ready, you're going to look forward, put your hands on the floor, and carefully lower down onto your abdomen. For our first Savasana, it's a belly Savasana. You are welcome to bend your elbows out so that your hands are close to your face. You can also bring your arms down by your side. You're welcome to relax your forehead onto the floor or look to one side. So I'm going to look to the left with my right ear on my mat. As you release out of the child's pose onto your hips, you might notice certain sensations in the body, maybe a return of circulation to the hips, the knees, or the toes. Sometimes we, don't quite, our body doesn't process postures until after we have come out of the posture. So if the sensations that you're feeling when you release from child's pose are maybe even more intense than you were in it, that is quite normal. And that's true outside of yoga too, right? Sometimes we can't quite process something until after the fact. So we're just practicing staying in our bodies and kind of bearing witness to what happens, not just when we're in postures, but what happens when we come out of them and return to a more neutral state. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and you can look to the other side. So both sides of the neck stretch out. Gently lift your head, look straight ahead, and start to place your hands on the floor. We're going to do a Sphinx pose with a lower body variation. So for Sphinx pose, you're going to come onto your forearms. You can have your elbows directly under your shoulders or elbows a little bit forward. Now the thing to watch out for here, it happens to me, is at some point we kind of like let the shoulders tense up. You are going to actively push the floor away from you so that the shoulders stay down away from the ears. So this is Sphinx pose, and we're going to do a frog pose, half frog pose, lower body version. So you're going to start to bend your left knee out to the left, and eventually you're going to bring your left knee in line with your left hip and your left ankle in line with your left knee. So from a bird's eye view, your left leg is making an L or a 90-degree angle. Full frog pose is where you do both legs at once. And let me just tell you, it is a doozy. I like doing one leg at once. It's a little bit less intense. And in the Sphinx pose, you're still getting this chest opener and back bend. We're going to hold here for 4 minutes, and we are already a minute in. So when we do back bends in other styles of yoga where we hold the back bend for like 30 seconds or maybe a minute, right? We certainly compress the vertebrae, which I think is healing, especially in a world where we tend to hunch forward a lot. Doing these back bends is really good for your spine health. Sometimes when you do a back bend, right, you might even feel like a chiropractic adjustment, like you hear something pop or you get some relief from your back. When we hold postures for longer periods of time, though, we're not just working into like the muscles or the joints or the bones, we're working into connective tissue, like our tendons, our ligaments, and our fascia as well. So here you're stretching the fascia across your chest, and you're also gently healing the spine through compression. You're opening the hip here with this frog pose variation, right? There's a little bit of activation in the arms. Make sure you're not sinking down. But other than that, you're letting your hips relax, your belly is soft, your jaw is relaxed as you breathe in and out through the nose. As you breathe, as you settle into stillness, if what you're doing is not feeling sustainable, remember that you can switch it up. You can lower your leg a little bit. You can bring your arms forward a little bit so the back bend is not as intense. You can always also get a blanket or pillow to put under your knee or under your foot or under your hip if your hip is way lifted off the floor. My usual experience with Yin Yoga, minute 1 in a posture, I'm like, am I doing enough? I barely feel anything. Minute 3, which we're on right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, my body is screaming. I cannot hold still anymore, right? And so again, there's this difference between Yin Yoga is sometimes not super comfortable, to be honest, when we're holding postures for this long. There is a point where your body might start to get a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. You're breathing through it. But if it's something that's causing you pain, that's not going to feel good after class, that's when you ease up a little bit, or again, even like take a break from the posture for a little bit. Got a little less than a minute left here. Drop the shoulders, lift the chest. Again, healing compression to the spine. Nice stretch for the fascia on the chest, and a nice opening to the hip joint. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's take 3 more big breaths here. Okay, we're gonna slowly start to make our way out of the posture. There's no rush. We're gonna start with the legs. Slowly lengthen your left leg back to the wall behind you, maybe drawing that foot back in so you're back in your regular Sphinx pose, and then slowly lower down. You can have your elbows out or the arms down by your side. You can look to one side of the room, and I'll cue you when we're halfway through so that you look to the other side. If you have one ear on the floor, gently lift your head and look to the other side, other ear on the floor. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. Gently lift your head, put your hands on the floor, and push yourself up. We're going to take a break from all that shoulder and chest and hip opening. So before we do the other side, we'll do another posture. Come to sit on your butt with your feet out in front of you. We're going to do a gentle, simple hamstring stretch here. So you have your feet in front of you. You can relax your feet, relax your knees. Legs don't have to be totally straight. Inhale, arms overhead, getting some motion in the body. Exhale, fold forward. You can stick your butt out a little bit, take some time. You can place your hands on either sides of your thighs, your knees, your calves or shins. You can let your head relax all the way down. If rounding your spine like this is too much on the back, you can come up with a flat back. So that way you get the hamstring stretch without putting too much pressure on the back. Again, if you have pillows around, you're also welcome to place some pillows in between your thighs and your chest for extra support. You can place a small rolled up blanket under your knees if that takes some pressure away from the hamstrings. And we're going to hold here for 5 minutes. So this is quite a long posture. We are already 1 minute into it. I took a class once where the very first posture was a 7-minute hold of this. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I did not sign up for this, except I did. I think 5 minutes is an acceptable amount of time. So we're getting a gentle stretch through the hamstrings and a gentle lengthening to the spine, especially after Sphinx pose, right, where we arched the spine and opened through the front of the body. It might feel good to let your head hang down, but if at any point this no longer feels good to your spine, remember that you can come into a more flat back position, so you're hinging at your hips rather than rounding at your spine. And again, this will take some pressure off of the back. Otherwise, just hanging out as you breathe in and out through your nose. 3 minutes left. About 2 minutes left. If what you're doing is not feeling right, you can bend your knees more, you can lengthen your spine more, you can fold forward more, maybe stick your butt out a little bit, walk your hips out. In postures or in styles of yoga where we hold postures like this for 30 seconds or a minute, we're often contracting muscles to get a deeper stretch. But when we hold postures for longer, we actually want to relax muscles. So when we do a little bit less, but over a greater period of time, it can actually be more effective than when we like push, but only for a short period of time, right? Again, some styles of yoga are like really strengthening muscles. Yin yoga is really about relaxing, softening, stretching through not just muscles, but connective tissue, tightness in the body. So rather than forcing or fighting your way into the posture, see what you might still be holding on to, and see if you can just relax a little bit more. About 1 minute left. Scan your body for any lingering tension, anything you're holding on to. Just soften, just melting into the posture. Nothing to prove, nothing to force. Just sitting here, staying in your body, staying in your breath. Let's take 3 more big breaths. As you're ready, press your hands into the floor. Slowly lift your upper body back up. There's no rush. Be sitting up nice and tall for a moment. Doing any sort of motions that might feel good to your body. In between postures, you're welcome to stretch in any way that feels right for you. And then we're going to lie down on our back for petal pose. You can open your arms and legs as much as you see fit. If lying with your legs straight bothers your lower back, you are welcome to place a small blanket under your lower back for support, or you can bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor. And if lying on your back doesn't feel good, you can always lie on your side or on your stomach. And if lying on your stomach doesn't feel good, you can always lie on your side or on your back. The general idea is in between postures, we're lying in a somewhat neutral position so the body can realign. In yoga in general, right, usually one part of your body is stretching and one part of your body is contracting. So then when we lie in a more neutral state, right, the whole body kind of comes back into equilibrium. Okay, bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor if they're not already. Take your time, you're gonna roll off to one side, doesn't matter which side it is. And then slowly roll onto your abdomen for the other side of our Sphinx pose with frog leg variation. Okay, so once again, you're gonna find yourself with your forearms on the floor. Elbows can be directly under the shoulders, or you can walk your arms forward. And from here, you're going to start to bend your right leg out to the right. Eventually, knee in line with hip, ankle in line with knee. So from a bird's eye view, right leg makes a 90-degree angle. This side might feel a little or a lot different. It does for me. I actually have like a pinched nerve in my hip right here. So I'm going to experiment with using some props, and you are welcome to as well. You're always welcome to place a prop like a towel or a blanket under your hip, under your knee, under your ankle. You can always also bring the right leg back so it's not at a full 90-degree angle, right? The angle doesn't have to be that acute, but I'm going to put a blanket under my hip and knee so that it's not coming all the way down. Cool. So we're making a shape, we're holding, and we're breathing in and out through the nose. 3 more minutes here. Right away, if what you're doing does not feel right, you're welcome to ease up, grab a prop, do something a little different, right? The general idea is we are stretching our chest, healing our spine through gentle compression, and opening the hip. Never going to a point of pain, point where we're gritting our teeth or where we can't stay present in our own body. As some of you know, I love sports, and there's this idea from the late Kobe Bryant. He was sometimes called like Mamba. And so people now talk about like Mamba mentality. So like the football player Russell Wilson or the tennis player Naomi Osaka will talk about like channeling Mamba, and they'll do like hashtag Mamba mentality on Instagram and stuff like that. And I was thinking today about like, how would I apply Mamba mentality to Yin Yoga? Right? Because I think sometimes we think, oh, to be the best version of myself or to like be the most, yogic version, I have to go the deepest into a posture. But counterintuitively, I think a Mamba mentality, a mentality of greatness in yoga, especially in Yin Yoga, would actually be to do a little bit less. In a world where we think that, the best is doing more things, never give up, keep fighting, keep struggling, right? Sometimes actually just letting go is the harder thing to do, and it's the more rewarding thing to do as well. So if you ever find in Yin Yoga that your ego is getting in the way, that you feel like you need to push yourself or go a little deeper into the posture, just notice when that's happening and let it go, right? And just allow yourself to make a shape, hold a shape, and breathe. And that in itself is like a really big skill. Holding the posture for a long period of time is often like our hardest piece of yoga that we're working on, right? It's not the depth of the posture, it's just the ability to sit still. We have a little less than 2 minutes left. The shoulders away from the ears, the chest proud. And there's a little bit of activation in the forearms to keep the shoulders out of the ears. But other than that, notice what parts of your body you might be able to relax in this last minute. Let's take 3 big breaths here. Okay, as you're ready, you can remove a prop. If you have a prop, you can slowly lengthen that right leg back down and then slowly lower down for your Savasana or puddle pose. Maybe start looking to one side and then look to the other. And if you're done with lying on your stomach, remember that you can always lie on your side or back as well. The idea is we're just in a neutral position. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and look to the other. Okay, lift your head, look forward, put your hands on the floor, and press yourself up. This is the shortest posture we'll do. It's only 2 minutes, and it's because for most of us, it's quite effective in that 2 minutes. It's a toe stretch. I'm gonna show you from the side first. So you're gonna open your knees and then tuck your toes under. So heels, toes touch. And then as you're ready, you're gonna walk yourself back and eventually sit on your heels. You're gonna try flipping out your second and pinky toes so that all 5 toes are stretching. And if your toes or ankles burn in this one, I'm right there with you. That is why we are only doing it for 2 minutes and we are already 30 seconds in. What to do with the upper body? You can simply place your hands on your thighs. If sitting back is too much, you're welcome to come forward with your hands on the floor so that your hips are off of your heels. That way you get the toe stretch without the pressure of the lower body. You're also welcome to have your hands at heart center. Or third option, you can have your hands behind you and pull down. This is a nice chest opener, right? Shoulder squeeze. We've got less than a minute left. If your toes are burning, I'm right there with you. Again, that's why we're only doing it for 2 minutes. But if your toes burn a lot, maybe this is something to do for like 30 seconds every day, right? We sometimes ignore the flexibility in our toe joints. This posture is really good for stretching out the arches, the soles of the feet, stretching out the toes and the ankles. We'll take 3 more big breaths here. Okay, and whenever you're ready, place your hands on the floor in front of you. This is the fun part. Untuck your toes and tap out your toes, which I'm sure your downstairs neighbors love. Okay, and then lie on your back, Savasana or puddle pose. So maybe one day we'll all work up to doing toe stretch for 5 minutes, but I'm not quite there yet. But again, sometimes the things that are the hardest for us are the ones that we need the most. So just notice that in your yoga practice. Okay, we're gonna do a supine figure 4. Bend your legs so that your feet are on the floor and knees rest together. From here, keep your left foot on the floor, lift your right leg off the floor, bring right knee to right, and place your right ankle shin area on top of your left thigh. So if you look down, your leg should make a 4 shape. That's why it's called figure 4. Option to keep your left foot on the floor if you're already feeling the stretch, or start to lift your left foot off the floor, hugging your thighs in towards your chest. Option to have your arms down by the side. You can also do some sort of variation, maybe of grabbing the outsides of your legs. I like to take my right hand through the legs, interlace fingers behind the left thigh and pull down. Notice if you're leaning way to one side, try to evenly distribute your body weight on your shoulders and hips. And we are going to hold here for 5 minutes. We are already a minute in, so 4 more minutes here. We'll all experience every posture a little bit different, but most folks will feel a stretch to the right side seat. and maybe a nice stretch along the outer right thigh. This is a really good posture for anyone that's experiencing sciatic nerve pain, that nerve that runs all the way down your leg from the lower back, right? This is a great way to stretch out that nerve, to stretch out the seat, the glute, the thigh. But if what you're doing already does not feel sustainable, you can release the grip on your legs and bring your thighs a little further away from your chest. You can always have your foot on the floor, right? Just finding a place that feels good where you get a stretch, but never a point of pain. About 2 minutes left. Notice where you might be holding on to some tension. And see if you can just let it go through the exhale breath. Melting into the posture, staying present in your body, present in your breath. Feel your chest rise and fall with the breath in and breath out. Let's take 3 more big breaths here. And slowly start to release any grip that you have on your thighs or your legs. Slowly return your left foot down to the floor if it was lifted. Slowly return your right foot down to the floor. Any little motions you want to get in here, like I'm going to do a little bit of a windshield wiper motion with my legs, anything that feels good. And then gently return into your savasana or puddle pose, letting your arms and legs fall. And just bearing witness to any sensations in the physical body, but also maybe in like the emotional, psychological, even spiritual body as you release out of the posture. Might be, of course, a rush of blood or a change in temperature. Sometimes in these hip opening postures, which we've done a few of, right, with the half frog leg, and then now with the figure 4, sometimes these hip opening postures can release some emotion or just some tension that we've held in the lower back and in the hips. And again, sometimes the release from the posture is just as intense or even more intense as the posture itself. Okay, let's do the other side. Bend your legs up so your feet are on the floor, knees rest together. Keep your right foot on the floor. Lift your left foot. Take your left ankle shin area to upper right thigh. Right thigh, I should say. So if you look down, your legs make a 4. Option to keep your right foot on the floor or lift your right foot off the floor, hugging your thighs into your chest. Again, this side might feel different or might require something a little bit different. So keep that in mind. You can have your hands on the floor. You can grab your thighs. You can interlace your fingers. And because of this pinched hip, I am actually going to place a blanket between my abdomen and my thigh so that I don't accidentally come down too much, right? Sometimes, especially for those of us that are flexible, and too much can be too much. So just because your body has a range of motion doesn't mean you always need to access it. So for example, I can pull my thigh in more, but it hurts my hip. So I'm actually going to place a blanket so that I don't have that overly flexible joint come down too much or squeeze too much. Okay, and then we're holding here. Breathing in and out through the nose. Got a little less than 3.5 minutes left. This might sound like I'm going crazy, but I've recently come to believe that the laundry room in my building is magical. So repeatedly what will happen is like I'll, have a specific book in mind that I would love to read. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to order from Amazon, but then I'm like not going to a bookstore, or whatever. So I have a book that I want, but I haven't, actually gotten it. And then my laundry room has this amazing shared book system with like bookshelves upon bookshelves of books. And repeatedly I'll like find the book that I wanted. Now, I know that's not magic. I know that that just means that like I live in Northwest DC with a lot of people of similar like minds who have similar interests in literature and nonfiction. I know it's not magic, but it feels magical. Or like one time, a fellow yogi called me up before a meditation and said, I really want you to read this specific poem. And then I went to do laundry and I'm not kidding, I found a book that was like a follow-up to the poem. It was like the author's, second poem. It was a book on this poem, which I just thought was wild. And recently I've, in Yin Yoga, you want to time postures, right? So I've been using my phone, but to me, one of the great joys of yoga is being away from your phone. So I've been like, oh, I really need to get like a clock, for the apartment. But then I haven't been doing that because I was just like, oh, which clock do I want? All this stuff. Well, I go into my laundry room and there's like the exact clock that I wanted is just sitting there in the for free to go pile. So now I have from my magical laundry room a clock so I don't have to look at my phone to time postures, which I just love. We have 1.5 minutes left. Now, is any of this magic? No, but it is magical, right? And I think that's so true of yoga in general. Sometimes it can feel like a miracle, right? To get into a posture, it can feel like magic when you're finally able to do something. It's not a miracle, it's not magic, but it is miraculous, right? To be able to move our body, to be able to notice subtle or really big shifts in the body, or subtle or really big shifts in like our understanding of our body, our self-realization, self-actualization, how we show up for ourselves and others. Let's take 3 more big breaths here. You're going to slowly release any grip from your legs or your thigh. Slowly, no rush, return your right foot down to the floor if it was lifted. Left foot down to the floor. You can keep your feet on the floor, knees rest together, or lengthen your legs, arms back into our puddle pose. Just feel everything stretch and realign and lengthen. If there's a certain part of your body that's feeling a little intense, a little tight, just a little bit much, think about sending a nice, thoughtful breath, right? So, maybe it's your hip or your glutes or your toes, the nape of your neck, whatever it is, just sending a thoughtful, loving breath towards a part of your body that could use it. If there's a certain person in your life or people that could also use a little extra love, this is an invitation to send them a thoughtful, loving breath. And if there's a certain aspect of your life, maybe something that you're working on or something that you're just being kind of harsh on yourself with, there's something like that, you can send yourself or an aspect of your life a thoughtful, loving breath. Okay, bring your arms out to the side. You can either have palms face up or palms face the floor. I'm going to have my palms face up. From here, bend your right leg so your right foot is on the floor. As you're ready, you're going to start to roll to your left. So right hip stacks on top of left hip. You can keep your right leg bent. You can also kick it out for a right IT band stretch. You can also place blankets or pillows under your knee or under your ankle. Try to keep your right shoulder down. This is a spine twist and an abdominal twist. So this twisting motion is good for back health. It's also good for digestion. You can have your head on the floor, or if you'd like, you can roll your right ear towards the floor, looking over right shoulder. So now the neck gets involved as well. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. Notice where you might be holding on to tension. You're just going to breathe it out. Sometimes I think of my exhale breaths almost like a foam roller, like anything that's feeling a little tight, you're just going to exhale it out. Let's take 3 more big breaths here. If you're looking to the right, gently roll your head back to center. If you've kicked your right leg out to the left, you can bend the knee again, and then slowly roll your right hip back down to the floor. Lower your arms and legs down, puddle pose, Savasana. I've lived in this building for 2.5 years now. And one of the funny things is I was really upset when we moved in because there's no laundry in unit, which for those of you that have practiced hot yoga on a consistent basis know that like laundry is life, right? And so I was like, I can't believe we're moving into this building that you have to like go down to the basement for laundry. And I'm reminded of like, I wouldn't have had any of these kind of magical laundry room experiences. Right, if I'd had that in unit. There's all these books that I would have been like, oh, I should buy that at some point. It's on a list, but I don't end up doing it, you know. But now they're all at my fingertips, which is just a nice reminder that sometimes something that we're not very excited about or we enter into a little begrudgingly can actually offer its own unique gifts. Okay, let's do the other side. Keep your right leg long. Bend your left leg on the floor, arms out to the side. And this time roll to your right. So left hip stacks on top of right hip. Try to keep your left shoulder on the floor. You can keep your left leg bent. You can also kick it out to the side for an IT band stretch. You can keep your head on the floor or look to the left ear towards the floor. Again, this side might feel different, and that's okay. Your experience is valid, and however you're experiencing the yoga posture is right? There's no wrong answer. As long as you're not going to a point of pain, a point of harm. Last thought on this magical laundry room of mine. You know, sometimes I've gotten so much from it. Sometimes I worry like, oh, if I'm not giving enough books back or enough, you know, things that no longer serve me like a clock, but that might be really useful to somebody else. Like I'm not giving enough back. But the thing is, the bookshelves are like bursting. Like I bet we have 1,000 books, and at any given time, there's usually, you know, I don't know, barware or hangers or puzzles or whatever, you know, extra things, a clock, whatever it is, extra things that people need. So even though sometimes I'm like, am I doing enough for this magical laundry room? When I look around, I realize there's actually like an abundance of gifts there, right? And we owe that to the fact that it's a decently sized building. So you know, when everybody maybe like once a year contributes a few books, like that adds up over time, right? Or if every once in a while when somebody's moving out or moving in or switching things up, they donate non-book items, you know, in the kind of free for grabs area, it all works out, right? And this is, in my opinion, like how a healthy society should function as well. Anytime that you feel like you have to be giving at all times for things to be okay, that's a sign that maybe like other people aren't giving as well, right? So in a healthy functioning laundry room, you know, book or book, you know, situation or outside of laundry room bookshelves or whatever it is, right? You're probably doing enough. In fact, you might be giving more than you actually need to. We're just trying to find a way that we can all give when we're able, and then also a way that we can take, right? So it's not just about you giving back, it's also about you taking things, right? And being grateful for them and being in community with those around you, not just the give, but also the take, not just the take, but also the give, but only giving when you're actually able to, not just when you feel you have to. Let's take 3 more big breaths here. As you're ready, if you're looking over your left shoulder, you can roll your head back to center. If you've kicked your left leg out, you can bend the leg. If you have any props, you can remove them. And then slowly roll your left hip back down, arms and legs down, final Savasana. Any little last movements that you want to do here that feel good for your body? To do a nice yawn and stretch, and then find your way into a nice relaxed final Savasana, final petal pose. You can close your eyes, you can open your arms and legs as much as you'd like. And in this stillness, notice where your mind might be wandering to, and then gently just nudge your thoughts back to your breath, being present in your body, present in this stillness. Right? The same way that yoga postures, yoga is a practice. We're never doing it, we're just practicing. Caring for ourselves, caring for our greater community, being present in our body, present in our world is also a practice, right? We're always doing practice over perfection, never letting perfection be the enemy of good, right? Just a little bit goes a long way on the yoga mat, but off of the yoga mat as well. And we'll enjoy another minute in final Savasana. After that, for anyone who would like to stay for an optional 15-minute journaling session, I will cue you when it's time to sit up and get, maybe some water, your journal, or a pen. If you don't want to journal, but you want to just hang out and ponder, you're welcome to stay in your final Savasana as well. And just kind of listen in. Take an inhale through your nose, feel your chest rise. Exhale through your nose, feel your chest fall. Inhale through your nose, I am practicing yoga. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am choosing compassion. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I am practicing stillness. Exhale through your nose, thank you. Inhale through your nose, I choose myself always. Exhale through your nose, thank you. You are welcome to stay in this final Savasana and listen in. You are also welcome to slowly sit up and either quietly show yourself out of class, or, my hair is funny, or you can take a moment, find a pen, a paper, maybe have a sip of water, and we will start our optional 15-minute journaling in like 30 seconds. Okay, so I always like to start journaling with a simple prompt, which is to write down 20 things that you are grateful for. Journaling is a really wonderful way to kind of acknowledge your thoughts and your feelings. And starting with a gratitude practice is a really wonderful way to acknowledge that, life is certainly not perfect, but we always have things to be grateful for, right? So just writing down 20 things that you are grateful for.
Okay, I will continue with prompts. If at any point a certain prompt is really speaking to you, you are welcome to stay on that one. And what associations, they can be physical associations, sensations, what associations do you have with spring, with this time of year? So my examples are the sensations that I associate with spring are an itchy runny nose from allergies, and then the sound of a baseball hitting a bat, the crack of a baseball bat. What associations do you have with this time of year, with spring? As we enter into spring, a time where the days get a little bit longer, what do you want to do with the extra light? As we transition to spring, what would you like to do with the extra light? In our Yin Yoga class, I talked about my magical laundry room. Do you have an area of your life that feels magical, or an old memory or experience that you've had that feels in any way magical, mystical, miraculous, even if there's certainly an explanation for it? Is there something in your life that feels magical? Sometimes even when I'm writing in my private journal, I'm scared to write something that's really on my heart for fear, I don't know, that somebody will read it or that like I'll read it back later and be embarrassed by how nerdy that was. If you even feel like within journaling you're holding back, this is an invitation just to write down whatever it is that's on your heart. And if it feels like, you know, it's so vulnerable that you want to speak it into existence and then let it go, remember that you can always tear up this after class. You can swallow it, you can flush it down the toilet, you can burn it if you can do that in a safe way. But if there's something on your heart that you just want to write into existence, you're welcome to do that now or at any point in the journaling. And remember that you can always tear it up after if it feels like a little bit too real to keep around. Is there something in your life that feels magical? Okay, and last journal prompt, again, you're welcome to continue writing on the magic in your life or gratitude or spring or whatever that is. The last journal prompt, if there's anything else that's just been like swirling in your mind that might feel good to actually write into existence, again, you can always throw it away after. But if there's anything that's just been swirling on your mind that you don't necessarily have anyone to talk to about, or you're not sure how to talk about it, journaling can be a wonderful way just to like write it out however it comes out. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you. This is an opportunity just to like write into existence anything that has been on your heart or your mind. It can be as silly as, where you want to go on vacation after COVID, or as heartfelt as like, a deep fear or a deep longing. Okay, let's take about 30 seconds. You are always welcome to continue writing or to return to these prompts or other prompts at a later time. And anytime that, again, something's swirling in your head and it would be useful to write it, you're not necessarily ready to tell someone else, journaling is a nice way that you can still speak it out, write it out without, needing feedback or judgment or whatever from somebody else, or without feeling the need to explain it or present your thoughts in a neat or concise way. And again, that includes just like writing about what you're grateful for every day is a really wonderful practice that is free, that you can do anytime, anywhere, and just helps us live in a little bit more appreciation for all the things that we do have at any given time. Thank you all so much for joining me for yoga and journaling on this beautiful spring day, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.